warm welcome to Sunday Talk, which we have every Sunday. We are exploring interesting topics about spirituality, meditation, and knowing the self better. Some of the talks are spoken in Finnish by Finnish meditation teachers, and sometimes we are very lucky to have special guests with us who are really experienced in this field. So, my name is Ella, and I am a meditation student and teacher at Brahmakumaris in Finland. Today's topic is very interesting. It is secrets of karma. What is it actually? What does the word karma mean? Is karma always bad karma? Do I need to be afraid of my karma? Or can karma be seen as an opportunity and something good? So generally, this topic is creating many questions in the mind. So please remember, there are no stupid questions, and you are helping others who have courage to ask. Others are also thinking the same things. So we are here to explore and learn. Please write your questions in chat and you will get answers at the end of the session. And also feel free to share your comments and opinions as well. Greatly appreciated. Let's see what kind of angle our special guest Daxa Shah from London takes to the topic, Secrets of Karma. She is originally an accounts graduate, and she has dedicated the last 34 years of her life to humanitarian service. She has helped all manner of people in different parts of the world to empower themselves. Daxa is currently coordinator of Inner Space, a free community service specially crafted to offer individuals, local communities, and businesses everything from quick respite to longer term tools for coping with the stresses of life today. Daxa has a speciality. She has a quiet passion for building bridges, the type that creates common ground between people from very different backgrounds. Daxa is an experienced presenter whose sharing are not just clear and relevant, but also filled with a kind of warmth that people say inspires hope. So warm welcome, Sister Daxa. It is very lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Yes, the topic that we're going to be exploring today, it's a very vast and huge topic. So we'll try our very best to cover some of the aspects. And the theme, as you're aware, is the secrets of karma. So as mentioned, then let's understand this word karma to begin with. It's a Hindi term. In fact, the Hindi term is not even karma, it's called karma. And in English, somehow it's been adopted and with an extra A, just like in Hindi, the term for meditation is yoga, and in English is known as yoga. So karma and karma. So often this word karma is referred to in connection with destiny, that when you have to face a situation, you think, oh, that must be my karma. This is how it's often seen in the East. But the word karma or karma literally means actions. And yes, we have this connotation and connection with the destiny, but let's look at one of a very wise and very old saying about destiny, that watch your thoughts, for they become your words. And watch your words, for they become, what does it become? They become your actions. And watch your actions, for they become your habits. And watch your habits, because it becomes the character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. So one end of spectrum is destiny, but where did it all begin? Watch your thoughts, for it becomes your words. Watch your words, for it becomes your actions. Watch your actions, because it becomes your habits. And watch your habits, for it becomes, your character. And that leads to your destiny. So this secret about karma is that karma is like fruition. It's like the fruit that we experience. But the seed of that tree, that plant, that crop, however you want to see it, is our thoughts and our awareness. So a lot of things we perform in terms of our action depends on our awareness and intentions. So if my intentions, if my awareness, if my thinking, my feelings, etc., are very, very positive, then the actions I'm likely to perform are also going to be very, very positive. So often we get caught up thinking, feeling a bit hopeless that I must have done something, then this is why I have to see the destiny that I am in, the situation I am in. And we feel we are like in a bondage. But remember that we created our destiny and we can change it. Of course, it has to start with this process of thoughts and actions. But whichever way we can change, we should start making the change to bring it more positive. And if we start thinking positively and if we start performing positive actions, then a situation will also change. And when I'm talking about the situations, I'm not just talking about external situations. That could also change, but that is not probably so much in our hands. But what is in our hands is that how do I respond to a particular situation? Now, currently, one thing that is commonly faced in most parts of the world is the COVID situation. And different people we meet, and they have responded to it in a different way. I don't think there's probably one person that didn't have to make adjustments since last March, or maybe even for some people even earlier than that. But some have happily taken that on board and done what is necessary. And some have resisted and been unhappy and also felt the pain and sorrow. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe the external situations may not be so much in our hands, but how do I respond to it is in our hands. So the philosophy of karma is very, very simple, but to the extent it is simple in terms of definition, it is very, very profound. The definition of the philosophy of karma is very simple as to what you give is what you're going to receive. As you sow, so shall you reap. What goes out comes back to me. It's like a boomerang effect. So if I throw something, it comes back bouncing to me. Yeah, so it's very simple. If I share happiness, happiness is going to come back to me. And if I share sorrow, that's what's going to come back to me. So how this understanding helps us to heal? The reason why it helps us to heal is very, very simple, because it allows us to learn to take responsibility. That I am very much responsible for the feelings I have. And if I change the feelings, then my situation is likely to change. So I learned to take responsibility instead of various other options that we adopt in life, is running away from a situation or totally being in denial with the situation or blaming others, and sometimes blaming ourselves. You know, we dislike ourselves because we are in a given situation. So I have to learn to change that. Yeah, I have to learn to take responsibility by understanding that actually destiny I have created, and if I'm not so happy where I am, I have the possibility to change it. Now, change again, it doesn't mean that I can just quit one job and get another, or I can quit one partner and get another. I'm not talking about, certain things we can't change. It's not as easy to change. Like we can't change our parents, we can't change our siblings. We can't change necessarily the way people behave with us. But what we can change is our response to it. And it's just like, there's this saying that, when somebody is kind of telling you things, and if you take in sorrow, if you take in pain, they'll give more of it. But if you stop taking the sorrow and stop taking the pain, then they stop giving you that pain. So these are some of the secrets of karma, that what goes out comes back to me. And it begins from the spectrum of my thoughts, words, actions, habits, characters, and destiny. And the other thing also to understand is that some of our actions bring instant result. I would say to Ella that you're so nice and sweet, and she responds saying, oh, you're nice and sweet as well. But for some, we'll have to wait a long time before they acknowledge any goodness in us. So some will give us instant result, and some will take a long time. And that time could be from 1 second to a minute to a day to a few hours, or a few weeks, months, years, and sometimes even another lifetime. But let's rest assured that what goes out comes back to me. So if I've given love and respect, if I've given my very best, and if I've been honest in whatever I've done, that will come back to me very, very naturally. Yeah. So this is for us to really keep this in mind. So I am the person who's responsible for whatever I see around me, and I learn to take that responsibility without feeling guilty, without feeling the burden, without blaming others, but also at the same time, being very, very aware that I have the power and the choice. The other thing we have to understand about karma is what are the different things that affects us. One we've already looked at, which is the very intrinsic part of us, is our thinking. And the way we perceive things, the way we are aware of things. What is here in the forefront of my mind? Because what is in the forefront will often reflect. And what is in the forefront is guided by what I have retained. So many of you are quite familiar with what's happening in terms of the various talks you've been listening to, and I'm sure there's a mention of that, our true identity, which is that we are a being of light, performing this actions, this role as an actor on this field, which is known as the action field, the world. Like Shakespeare mentioned, that this world is a stage, a drama stage, and we're all playing our respective roles. So I, the being of light, situated here in the center of the forehead, is this being who plays and performs just through this costume, this body, the karma. And this world actually is known as the action field. In Hindi, the word is Kurukshetra. And there is reference to this word Kurukshetra as a battlefield also. And so how we've seen that over the, generations passing over, that how this action field sometimes feels like it's a battlefield. So in Hindi, the two words, Kuru, means also karma, but is also often referred to as a battlefield. So it's up to us whether we want to make sure that this action field remains an action field where we are sowing beautiful seeds, that is of positivity, of love, of peace, harmony, unity, and so on and so forth. And that's what we're going to reap around. When the time comes, that happiness, that peace, that love will come back to us. Or I have a choice to make it a battlefield. The choice is mine. And so it's time for us to kind of sit back and reflect, what have I been doing throughout my life? And if I've done it in a right way, fine, let me carry and, emphasize more and empower it. But if not, then it's time to really take that charge and also change when necessary. So sow the seeds through my thoughts, through my actions then, and then I see the result. And as I said, some result will be instant, like you sow the coriander seeds or mint leaves, and within few days you will start seeing little things popping up. And some are like, bit like, say, a cauliflower or a broccoli or something. You take a few more weeks before you see something like beetroot. But some seeds are like that of a mango seed. In India, and we lovingly call that country Bharat, there's this saying that a grandparent will sow the seeds of mango, and it's the grandchildren who will actually enjoy the fruit of it. So it takes that long. Because today's day, with all the technology and various methods, everything is done so quickly. So we probably could see mangoes in a few years. But would it be as sweet as if it was naturally done? Would it be as nutritious if it was naturally done? Is a question to ask. So what I'm trying to say is that some of our karma, we may not see instant fruit, but we'll see it later. And often you find that we talk about good things of the people once they've left, like once somebody passes away, we say, well, he was so good or she was so good. Why not we learn to do that whilst the person is alive? Yeah, and as far as I know about Finland, that you're very sweet and kind. There's sisters and brothers who've been to the country, met many of you. They're always talking about it. So it's already probably there very much in that country, but can I do it all the time? So let me value each other, not just after they've left or not when they're not so accessible, but whilst they are with us. Yeah, so that's another thing to keep in mind, our thoughts, our awareness, and that feeling of harmony and feeling of respect for everyone. One other thing that impacts our basic thinking, which is rather the base of our karma, the seed of our karma, is the food we eat, the company we keep. Yeah, how we start off our day, how do we finish our day? So these are some of the things that impact us. So what I'd like to touch upon a few of the things that has a direct impact on our thoughts. So one is the food. Yeah. There's this saying in Hindi that as is your food, so is your mind. In Hindi, the terms rhyme. Food is known as an and mind is known as man. So jaisa an, vaisa man. So as is your food, so is your mind. So a lot of attention in these days are going into veganism and organic food and whatnot. That is very good, continue. But it's also very important that the awareness whilst I'm cooking, the awareness whilst I'm eating the food is also very, very necessary, that it has to be positive. So often when we have our um, important transactions to be done and important decisions to be made, business-wise or something, we meet over lunch. Now, many of our meetings is at lunchtime or dinner time. But actually, eating food is a very sacred act. And as far as possible, we should avoid watching TV whilst we're eating, or watching or talking about things that are not so good and things that are critical. We can probably talk about those things if it is a format or it's very familiar way of deciding, say like on a business meeting. But can we not just eat our food a few minutes and then talk about things rather than allowing those thoughts to impact our food, which is going to impact our thoughts, and we're going to probably take wrong decisions or decisions that are not so beneficial for self and others. So food and the awareness whilst we are cooking. Today it's very fashionable that we just eat fast food, or we eat food that is ready-made, or we eat food that is in restaurants or something. But the joy of cooking even a simple food and then, thanking God, most traditions have this method where we used to pray before we started to eat. And in Hindi, there's another saying that a family that prays together and eats together, it's similar saying in English too, stays together. So how often do we eat with our family members, our close relatives? So we have to make sure that one is eating at this time, another is eating at that time. And okay, our timetable may be very, very different and our commitments may be very different, but there should be some allowances made, at least, if not on a daily basis, if not for one meal a day together. Let me try as often as possible to have meals together in kind of positive environment. And again, whilst when we're cooking, to have the positive awareness, listening to something very positive and spiritual whilst cooking, and thanking God for providing whatever it may be, even just a simple jacket potato, for dinner, but it will taste so delicious because it's filled with that vibrations, which is actually more nutritious and helpful for us. The other aspects of things that impact our thinking is the company. It's not to say we have to avoid anybody, but we can be selective of how much time do I spend with people who are not so positive, who are always complaining, etc., etc. So as far as possible, let me select the company of people who are going to guide me in the right directions, who are going to help me to go and move forward in a positive way. And often this company is not so easy to keep because They are your true friends who are going to tell you on your face where you need to change. Yeah, I remember that, I used to be quite sensitive. When I was in college, I did part of my education, in fact, most of my education in India. And when going for this accounts degree, one of my friend, a group friend, she didn't have a father. So from quite a young age, she had to help her family financially. So she had to work even while studying. And that's not as heard of, at least in those days when I was studying in India. So very early on, she had to take on the responsibility of supporting the family financially, all the siblings, her sister and her brother as well. So what I was saying that one day I was talking something about, just very casually, something about, I mentioned that my dad didn't do this, and I was not even complaining. And she very right away told me, saying, "You don't know what it is to have a dad. Yeah, ask the person who doesn't have a dad, doesn't have a father." And it just made me realize that how sometimes we take things for granted and we don't appreciate enough, and we don't acknowledge enough the joy and the happiness and the contribution they made to our life. And I think that changed my mindset, that I learned to appreciate what I have even more. So, you need somebody like that in your life. And so keeping the company of souls who are going to put you into the right direction rather than saying, yeah, the fathers are like this or the mother is like that. And, kind of accepting what you're saying and making you feel even more miserable. So it did bother me a little bit, because it's shocking that my friend would say something about me that doesn't feel true to me, but made me realize that it's true that I maybe don't acknowledge enough. I take things for granted because I've had a very happy childhood and upbringing. I'm very secured upbringing, and I don't probably understand the importance of it. So company we keep, the books we read, the music we listen to, the movies we watch, all of these, be very selective. The things that we think are entertainment, are they really entertainment? So we should really be reading and watching things that are very, very useful and is going to help shape my personality for a better, for positivity. So these are some of the things. And again, equally important is the music, and especially what we see. So this will have an impact on how we see things and how we interact. Like today, a lot of suicide cases, today, a lot of murder cases, etc. Where do they get the ideas from? From movies, from television. So if I'm watching those things, what is my mind going to be trained? Yeah, if I'm watching like a documentary, if I'm watching something about helping others, then that are the thoughts that are going to be with me. So be very, very careful. But most important, it is to remember that I have to focus on the way I think, and I have to focus on making sure that even if I'm not feeling so good at the moment, at least let me be kind. Yeah, let me be compassionate. Let me give others a benefit of doubt. I'm not saying that I don't have to look after myself. I'm not saying that I have to make, I allow people to take me for a ride. No, that is not good karma either. Yeah. So that comes to this question is, how do I know my karma is positive or negative? These are two main categories of karma. And the third karma category is also called neutral karma. But we won't be touching much upon that. For those of you who want to understand neutral karma, you're welcome to do our Raj Yoga course that sisters can give you more information about, because we touch upon that and explain that at the intermediate level of our course on karma, and when we talk about the cycle of time. So positive karma or negative karma. Every karma that is externally seemingly positive is not necessarily positive. So how does one judge whether the karma is positive or negative? We have to remember two aspects: my intentions and also the end result. It's like a formula. If my intentions are right and other person or whoever is involved in that situation also benefits. So I'm happy, my intention is right, I'm performing a positive karma, and the other person benefits, then that action is positive karma. But if my intentions are not right, and yet the other person benefits, then that action for me is not a good karma. So let's take, for example, I'm here today because I feel obliged that when we at Inner Space Family also do talks every Tuesday evenings, and a couple of the instruments from our centers in Finland, like Ella and Gite, done the talks for us. So it's now my time to return. I feel obliged. Yeah. If that is the feeling, I'm here today with you, and whatever I share, you may still benefit. But in my account, will that be positive karma or not? No, like you invite somebody for meals, or you pay or do something for somebody because they've done something for you in past. But it's with this awareness of obligation, then that is not pure karma. Or you feel you have no choice and you're performing this action because you want to still look good. So it's better to say no. I know I'm not going to do this. Or if I agree to do it, let me put my heart into it and make it a positive karma. Now, the interesting scenario to understand is my intentions are right, but the person involved here, like say the group that is listening to this session, if their intentions are not right and I allow that to happen, like, okay, you couldn't find a speaker and say, Daxa, come every Sunday to do this. And I think, oh, it's a good thing. I'm going to share this knowledge. But see, we're making somebody dependent on us. Like say, for instance, you do shopping for somebody and they expect you to do it all the time, when they possibly can do it themselves. And you allow that kind of dependency to happen, then that is not good karma. Yeah. Secondly, second situation to understand is like you're making somebody weak. Mind you, be vegetarian, but as is a saying that may explain to you what I'm trying to say, that when somebody comes begging for food, rather than feeding them fish, teach them fishing. Yeah. As I said, we don't eat fish or anything like that, and we wouldn't want to encourage that. But it's like how, rather than just giving people money, how can I empower them? At the Brahma Kumaris here in London, and personally myself, I work quite closely with the local communities, helping for winter shelters and, for people who are sleeping rough. So we support in whatever way we can. But our main support, I'm aware, and this is where my focus is in our meditation to send vibrations to those souls in need, that they empower themselves, that they get themselves out from that situation, because it's a matter of choice. I'll share a story and then stop here for questions. This is a true story, and somewhere in UK many years ago, there was just two guys who, two children, two boys, and born in a dysfunctional family. The mother was okay. The father was really the naughty one, drinking and abusing the mother, and hitting the children, not giving them proper upbringing. At some point in time, both children were taken into different foster care, and they had different upbringing. And somebody who knew that family 25 odd years later, or many years later, were able to trace back as to where the children are and try to unite them. And one was very much, very well settled, had good family, children, good secure job, everything was there. And the other one was kind of a replica of the father. And when that person asked, why did you become what you did? And they both replied, because of my father. So from what we're learning from this true story is that they both were in a similar situation, but the choices they made. One said, no way I'm going to be like my father, and decided to change his life. And the other one said, well, that's what I've seen. So that's what I know. So I'm going to be like my father. So I'll pause here and to see if there are any questions or comments. Sorry, I've not been able to keep up with the chat boxes, but I'm sure Ella will help me.
Thank you, Sister Daxa. This has been very, very interesting to listen, because you have been explaining in such a simple and practical way. And I'm sure that it is easy to get a clue of karma if it has not been there before. And we have quite many questions.
I was seeing some chats popping up. So
yes. So let's start. If I wish to experience more happiness in my life, how can I change my karma? If my thoughts are negative and positive thinking is difficult.
So I'd like to touch upon very briefly the anatomy of consciousness, as I explained that we are this being of light, and living being working through this physical body, the costume. And we have three subtle faculties, the mind, the intellect, and what we call in Hindi sanskar, which means the personality traits. So mind is our power to think. And the second faculty in Hindi, we call it the buddhi, the intellect, which is the wiser one, which is the one that is able to discern and give us the right decision. But most important job of the intellect is the willpower. And then once we perform an action, then we are retained with the memories of good and bad actions. And that memory guides our conscious mind. So our subconscious mind, the personality traits, call it good habits, bad habits, old habits, new habits, the way we see things. A lot of meaning of this word, one word in Hindi, which is sanskar. So that sanskar guides our, what shall we say, our conscious mind. So this is a cycle, and the cycle stays there. But if any point in the cycle, if I can make it positive, like at my thought level, if I can't, then let me make it positive at the action level. And also through meditation, increase my willpower to make that change. So it's like, something I can say after such a long time, I always wanted to put in some exercise on a daily basis, or at least a few times a week. But for years, it hadn't happened. I would sometimes go for walks every day of the week for a few weeks, and then for months, I would not be able to go out. But since last lockdown, which is from March onwards, I can say that I've been able to manage. And so after so many years that I was able to make, but I didn't stop having the thought. And once the willpower set in and I could see the difference, I didn't want to go back when I didn't have exercise for days on. So if I can change at thought level, if that's not working, let me change it at the action level. And as you understand, and if you've not done the meditation course, I would suggest you do that. You see that how, though meditation is all about positive thinking, but it's also about learning to use our willpower, which is the second faculty, the buddhi, the intellect. So if one's not working, the other one can step in. Yeah. So it's not that difficult as we feel.
Thank you. And a beautiful encouragement that it is not so difficult as you think. So yes, making it easy. And then we have a second question here. How do I know whether a specific karma has been cleared? How many times do I pay for my karma?
I don't think we have to worry about the specific karma being cleared or not, but we have to just really focus on doing positive karma. And in terms of when would we feel that the karma is settled, is when we feel much lighter, we feel our relationships are improving, or we stop taking sorrow. These are some of the methods to know that karma has been cleared. But one other secret I'd like to share, which we've learned so much from Dadi Janki, certainly we should try and put the bad past to a full stop, but even good things. I remember when even Dadi, when she was in her 70s, she left body at 104, age of 104 in last March. But even when she was in her 60s or 70s, she would have been to a different place and shared the wisdom. She would remember what she shared, but she's forgotten who she's met and, which country she's been. She had to be reminded. And it's not because she didn't have an intellect to remember those things. She had, but this was what should we say? It was a choice she made. It was a conscious choice that she made. That even the good things we have to learn to put a full stop. So like living in the now, being aware that my past has brought my present, but the more I focus on my present, then I know my future is guaranteed. Yeah. So there's different ways of paying through our thoughts. If I know that particular person we've harmed, and if I'm able to get in touch with them and ask for forgiveness or do something to return that harm or to pay off that harm, let me do it. But sometimes it makes it worse than, making it good. Then in that case, just through my thoughts, through my meditation, through my prayers, sending that soul so much power and light and seeking that forgiveness. But you don't have to even consciously remember them all the time through their prayers. Just have a second of thought, think of that soul, the person, and then just do your meditation or prayers, whatever you're familiar with, and it will reach them.
Beautiful. So it can be settled in a very, very subtle level. So we have here next question. If someone is really behaving badly to me and is hurting me, and I cannot recognize that I would have done something bad to him or her. So how can it be that it is my karma which has created this situation? What is the reason why this is happening? How can I operate in the way that this situation, which is hurting me, I'm not creating bad karma more?
So 2 things to understand, that I'm going to talk about something that maybe many of you are not familiar with, but it's also, it could be our past births. But even, let's put that aside, even in this birth, I haven't done anything, but I feel this person is taking from me or being, not so nice and nasty. Always remember the same karma philosophy applies for everyone. So if they're giving sorrow, at some point they will receive sorrow, and we don't have to wait for them to receive sorrow, but we can rest assured that I don't have to take that sorrow on if it's not true. But even if there's an element of truth in what they're saying, let me change. But if there isn't an element of truth, I don't have to take that on board. Because why we feel the sorrow and the pain is because we make the public opinion so important in our life. And we forget that who we are and how God sees us, how, maybe there's only a few people who can see my positivity and the rest of them are seeing me because they misunderstood me. Now, often I have to face that. So you need some patience. You need to connect with the divine and see how divine sees you. And whatever the person is giving you, if there's an element of truth in what they're saying, let's change. Let me not feel guilty about, oh my God, I did this, or I'm doing this, let me change. The other aspects of the secrets of karma to understand is that some of these, hey, it's like a bit of loan that we had. So maybe not of this birth, maybe of this birth, but I'd done it subconsciously and I'm not aware. Or maybe it was from previous times that is carried forward. So when a loan or mortgage is being paid off, we're happier. Though money is leaving from our account, we're happier and we are much lighter. So you see that as a way to settle. But one thing not to do ever is that whilst I'm settling, if I'm feeling bad about them or I'm thinking wrong about them, that, oh, this person always is so nasty with me, when I'm going to be out of their kind of bondage rather. Then what's happening is that I'm maybe paying off by keeping quiet or doing things that they're asking me to do. But because I have all these funny thoughts about them or not so nice thoughts about it, I'm creating more karma and there will never be an end to it. As long as I'm creating more karma through my thoughts, it's not just through actions we create karma. Through our thoughts, through our feelings also, we create the environment, we create our situations. We have to be very, very careful. I hope this explains.
Yes, thank you. So our thinking is also karma, and maybe we take the last question. We have obligations in life, and sometimes we have to do things that we might not want to do. How to deal with that so that I don't create negative karma?
As we learn to meditate, as we learn to be, with that spiritual awareness, we also learn to say no without feeling guilty. Yeah? There are certain things that is not just physically, time-wise manageable, or it is against our principles, or it is maybe not against my principle. Maybe I also have time, but then we're in a community and everybody needs to pitch in. So not to feel guilty that if I'm standing out, that say if I have 5 other siblings, so why should I be the only person to wash the dishes? They all should contribute as well. But it's not with the wrong feeling, but it's with that I'm empowering them, that I'm asking this. You see, I'm respecting myself, but I'm also wanting to empower them. So it's a win-win situation. If that is the awareness, then you will find that it's not so difficult to say no. But you have to also be sure that if you're saying no, no, no for everything, are you ready? Are you okay to also hear no when you need them? So it's not fear-based, but there has to be a lot of wisdom in that. So once I learn to respect myself, I'm able to say no when it is either against my principle, I don't have time for those things, or the other reason is that I'm also wanting to empower others, but everybody else taking responsibility.
Thank you. Very clear answer. And now our time is coming to an end. So it would be lovely if Sister Daxa, if you could have a 5 minutes guided meditation with us, and then maybe there is some more questions, but maybe we can then answer them later.
So sit back relaxed, the feet on the ground. Take new thoughts within. Let's use this next few minutes to take a stock. Very briefly, let me look at the different times in my lifetime. Let me look at some of the profound things that I have achieved. Very quickly, look up some of the highlights in childhood. Think of some of the beautiful qualities you saw. Compassion, the kindness, and as you were growing up, you started to work or to a family life. And now where you are. So very quickly, without guilt, just with understanding, look at some of your shortcomings, your childhood, and as you were growing up, where you are now. So look at the good things about yourself. But also being aware of things that you need to work on without feeling bad about it, with the enthusiasm that if I've achieved the others, I'm sure I'll be able to manage this very gently. I take this determined thought, this awareness that I love myself, and also that I want to share this love and happiness with the world. So keeping kindness and compassion forefront in my mind. With this wisdom that the real kindness, when I am loving myself, as well as empowering others. If possible, bring back your awareness to where you are. Reminding yourself to be more aware of your thoughts, your words and your feelings and your behavior. It's your journey in your life. Interacting with self and others. Om Shanti. Om I am Shanti. Peace. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
This was very peaceful ending for the Secrets of Karma session. And I just have to mention that I especially loved when you spoke about battlefield or action field. It is like a really nice image in the mind that I have the power, I have the choice, and I can create my life. And whatever has happened in the past, just accepting it, and now I can strengthen my positive thinking and positive actions. So thank you, Sister Daxa, being with us, and maybe at some day you will be physically here also. Maybe this corona will end at some point.
Sure. Yeah, as I said, there's only so much you can cover in karma. It's such a deep subject. So I'm sure there's many questions that may have been risen, but I would suggest you do the meditation course if you haven't done, and I'll be happy to answer the questions in some form. Ella has my details. Okay.